BJNet Live, Phase 2. Del Didway in the green room, bumper rolling. YouTube live stream is in sync. Let's switch to Studio 5 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Phase 2, Part 2 of PJNet Live this Tuesday night. Phase 1, you just heard from Jan W. Martin, and what an incredible story behind her very first book. That one rocked me. And God is all over the place. And behind us, it's football season, folks. The Friday Night Lights are here. Del has his weekly blog on Tuesdays. You can find that at deldidway.com. I will put that on the screen after we bring Del in. Normally a book about a sport or a blog about a sports figure, but not today. Hey. Your turn. I was just trying to tee it up. Yeah.
Hey, thanks. Hey, I noticed the football field there is the San Francisco 49ers, and I saw Sunday actually destroy Cincinnati, so we were there.
I got it.
That was a game.
Yeah. While I changed your name from Jan Martin.
Hey.
There we go. Here it is, folks. deldidway.com. From there, you will find a link to his blog, which is normally centered around a sports figure. Del uses his experience and talent, aside from being the most interesting man on earth, to find sports figures who have a story of inspiration to tell us. But this week, different story, Del.
Yeah, I mean, I do other things. This is about the first manuscript I ever wrote. About 3 years ago, and that's what introduced me to this world of Christian writers that I never knew existed, because I wrote this manuscript out of some a couple of personal tragedies, family tragedies. So it's not about sports, it's not fun, it's not motivational, it's about faith. And I didn't know what to do with this manuscript, so I just started researching, and then I think I told you the story about how I met Michelle through LinkedIn.
Just literally hit her up out of the clear blue.
I did. And so she responded, and I said, I have this manuscript. What do I do with it? And she said, go to a writer's conference. And so lo and behold, I did. And the rest is history. So this manuscript is different than what what people are used to reading from me. It is a story about three people. It's their true stories, and it was a tough sell to publishers because they thought it was a memoir, and they always traditionally tell me the memoirs don't sell unless it's about somebody famous. So I had some difficulty, getting it pushed and published. So it's a very unique story about three people and their struggles and how they inspired people through their tragedies. And it gets pretty deep at times. It gets pretty dark at times, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So it has to do with, I called it having impossible faith, because there's real stories in this book about these people that had this faith. I don't know if I could have it. Let me tell you one story. It's about this one lady in our area. I never knew her, but I know a lot of people who did, and some good friends of mine, and they told us these stories. And I found the lady's daughter. And I'll get through this quickly. They were poor, and close to us. They were over in Kentucky, and they were beyond poor. They didn't have a dime to their name. So, but the lady liked to bake, biscuits and gravy and pies and bread and so forth for people coming in to visit. So she was wanting to make some biscuits, and she had milk but didn't have any eggs. And the daughter told me this story. She said she remembers scrounging through the cushions of the couch to try to find change, right, to go to the store, down the store. And they didn't live near a farm. They lived in a little town. So she had enough money to buy milk, came back and didn't have eggs, so she didn't have any eggs. So she said that mom did what she did best. She said she grabbed me. I think the daughter was 11 at the time, and pulled her down to her knees and said, "We're going to pray for eggs, and we're going to get them." And the daughter got up the next morning, walked outside, and as never happened before or since, she said there was a wild duck in their flower bed laying eggs the day after they prayed for her. And so that's the way this lady lived. She didn't ask for things from people. She was poor, but one of her pastors said that they would love to have her faith, but didn't want to go through what she did to get it. And so that's what this book is about. It's about incredible stories about people who faced struggles, who faced death, who faced awful other personal struggles, but their faith got them through everything.
Now, Dale, help me I'm trying to remember. She was wanting this egg to make a cake for...
Some biscuits. She was expecting company, and she didn't have any eggs. But that's the way she lived her life. And so we have numerous people who have told numerous stories about how when she just wanted something, she just prayed for it and got it and knew she was going to get it and trusted she was going to get it. And I posed the question to the reader, and Mark, could you realistically, you have faith, could you pray for an egg and believe it? With today's society, with iPhones and credit cards, and not ask for. Back then eggs they were $1.12, and she didn't have $1.12 to buy eggs. So, but she got eggs for the whole week. So stories like that, and what she had to deal with through people to have that faith. And one story is about my sister-in-law who passed, and I'm not giving anything away. I reveal that in the first chapter. So she had a terminal disease, battled cancer 3 times, and she was the result of this movement through our whole area and even throughout the state that people still cling to because of her faith. Now, that's what it's about.
If I have my facts correct, when you first took this to a publisher, they basically said no thanks.
Well, a couple of them, and I understood why. It wasn't personal. I didn't take it personal. They said, well, it's a good story. We do like it, but we don't know if we can sell it in California. You know what I mean? Because it's a regional book, stories from people in my region. So I understand that, and I understood that. So I didn't take it. I didn't get offended, and I understood. So we just were able to find one to do it, and we're excited about it. It'll be out really soon. So we're getting a lot of feedback. In fact, I've received numerous direct messages from a lot of people on Twitter and on Facebook saying, I can't wait to read this. I mean, I've received probably 15 just on Twitter, direct messages saying, send me this book when you get it. So that's encouraging, because I haven't done a whole lot of publicizing it or anything about it. So just a little teaser. And it's and one of the subjects in the book, the first time we met him, he came to our church, I don't know, a long time ago. I never knew him. He walked into our service, and I'm not joking. He was green. He was like the color of my shirt. He was dying, and he looked like he was the Walking Dead. He was a dead man walking, and he had pancreatic cancer, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and went to the altar and gave his heart to the Lord and claimed healing. And he was sent home from Cleveland Clinic, told he had 4 weeks to get his affairs in order because he was dying. And that was 15 years ago. So he's still around.
Dale, as I interact more and more with writers, authors, and so forth, I think it's fair to say that writing is a lot of work. So it takes a toll on you physically. Late hours at night, especially if you're hanging on to a day job while you're getting started. Mm-hmm. I can also see where it is mentally taxing, because you've got to be creative. You've got to, having it in your head's one thing, getting it to paper is another. So it's taking a toll on you in that way. Mm-hmm. But I get the sense on this particular book that it was also taking quite an emotional toll on you personally. Is that just a notion, or is that true?
No, it took a toll on both me and my wife because our sister-in-law, we were very close to her, and it was my brother's wife, and she passed, and we were all with her, and it was emotional because everybody. I mean, this had statewide attention. Her story had, I wouldn't say national attention, but her Facebook page had, like 17,000 likes in a day. So people were following her story, and the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes sent a note to her. I mean, Mike Weaver, Big Daddy Weave, sent her a message. He had heard about her struggle and sent her this little video. So it caught on. It had gas behind it. So it was a story that a lot of people knew about. Jason Crabb knew about it. So it was something that a lot of folks followed and knew about. And so her story and how she acted, how she treated it, led to this. And my son inadvertently came up with a slogan that took off. I mean, and so all in our area and half the state had these signs in the yards and these wristbands and shirts supporting her. So it was, more. Everybody has support, but it was more than just a little bit. But yeah, my wife and I, we went through that. Nothing like my brother did. But right after her passing, we went through this bizarre trial of ourselves for 6 to 8 months, where we had no answers in my wife's health for months, and we went to 11 specialists before we found the answer. And so, at the end of the book, I talk about my struggle with faith because I was trying to find the answers. I got really good at getting into specialist doctor's office at major universities the day I would call. And this, I'm not exaggerating, because most of the time, you call a specialist at like University of Cincinnati or Ohio State University or Case Western up in Cleveland. It's, well, we'll see you in like 4 months. That's our next opening. So I would tell them what was going on, and they would say, can you come today, or can you come tomorrow? It was that serious. Mm-hmm. And so we went to 11 specialists before we found the one who had the answers. So, and that was to do with my faith, because I would think I was in the way, because I was the one trying to find the answers and find the cure. And so, I had to give it up too. I had to turn it over. And that's hard.
This is the crux. This is the meat of the entire Christian experience. Understanding the theology at the academic level, I think, is comprehensible by a 7-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
It's easy.
Right. And we go to church and we go through these motions and protocols and church speaks and all that. But it's when your faith gets really shaken that you are in a crisis of faith. Mm-hmm. You are either going to let go of your faith and go a different route, or you're going to double down on it. There is no doing nothing.
Yeah, well, the first part of the book deals with when she passed. A lot of folks who we know and love they were upset. They were like, God, how could you allow this to happen? And so I addressed that, and I talked to them about their struggles and how they got through it, because some of them were like, our assistant pastor, he said, I was shaken for days because he has diabetes, and he thought she would be healed, and so he thought, well, will I ever be healed now? So it caused this ripple effect, and people, they opened up about their real doubts, and people had doubts for a while. And that's normal, I think. But how they got through them is how I bring it out in the book, is how they were able to get back to that place where they once were.
I had a interesting encounter that may not be directly related, but it comes to mind, so I'm going to blurt it out. One of the men in our church got terminal cancer. He worked with me up at the soundboard. And his wife was a pretty strong woman. And it's very unusual, at that time at least, for a female to occupy the pulpit, period. Okay. But she got up and spoke, and her husband's name was Bernie. And I thought, so I was a little shocked at a female at the podium speaking, but she said something that has really stuck with me. She says, God is going to heal Bernie's body. And I thought, oh gosh, don't put God in that situation. We can't bargain with God. We can't bind God to our will. And I thought, well, she's hurting and all that. But then what she said next really rocked me. She says, God's going to give Bernie a new body in heaven, free of cancer. And I thought, now that was spiritually very deep. I think it is these occasions, and I don't really wish that anybody go through experiences that are that bad. But how else do you know? I mean, you can say, Dale, what husband wouldn't say if asked the question, I love my wife, would say, well, of course I do. Okay. All right. What if your wife committed adultery? Would you still love her?
Oh, yes, you can do that.
It's a rhetorical question. It is rhetorical. But I illustrate it that way because a lot of the people that say, God is good all the time, I don't know that they've been through trials, and I don't think they know how to relate to someone who's truly hurting like that, because we get angry at God, among other things.
Right. Well, one of the things I touch on is, and I believe this too, but it's not something people want to hear when they're going through something like that, is, well, she received the ultimate healing. And that's tough for, like, my niece who was a junior in high school to accept. And so I address that because sometimes I don't know if that's a cop-out or if that's the way to make yourself feel better, because you want the person there, and to say when they're, she got your ultimate healing, yeah, I get it, but that's not what you want to hear.
Well, but you're put in a situation, and it's just kind of what I call church speak. Someday you'll see him again in heaven, and I mean, all true, true. But I'm not sure that addresses the grief, and sometimes if what you're about to say isn't an improvement on silence, maybe silence would be the better option.
Sometimes silence is the best way. But one of the other subjects in the book, the gentleman who came to our church who was dying, I tie the whole book all together because my sister-in-law and he become very close, and she asked him how he was healed, and he told her, and so she went down that route and she died, and so he felt this horrible guilt. Because he said, I felt, why did he take her?
Right.
Because she has all this ministry and leave me, who he called himself this modern knucklehead. He said, why did he not take me? So like I said, it gets deep because why do good things happen to bad things happen to good people?
Right.
And that's addressed in this book. So hopefully it's called Having Impossible Faith. That'll be out around Thanksgiving. And we hope it does well. I hope a lot of folks read it and understand the message in it, because it's not a fun, happy-go-lucky book.
On a happier note,
yeah,
you got another book coming out.
Yeah, I do. Well, we just launched First Down Devotions what is this month? Last August. It's doing really well. We're getting ready to launch. I just have the copy of it right here. Bengal Believer. It's a devotional for Cincinnati Bengal fans and followers. And after Sunday's game, they need a lot of prayer. So this will really come in handy. So that's not out yet. There's a couple of little minor changes that need to be made before it goes. It's supposed to launch, I think, today. But a couple little minor things you got to take care of. Shouldn't take long. So I'll be posting some information when that thing launches. And I really like this one. I mean, I like them all, obviously. But it's a good feel. It's a nice size book. It's a little bit bigger than my others. It's a typical book size and looks really good. Looks kind of Halloweeny, I think.
It looks Bengal.
It's Bengal, which is the black and orange
and black. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and to be sure, on Thursday I have a post coming out in our paper. I'll put it out on Twitter that I expect to get some feedback on. So
okay, you're getting brave, Dale. Oops.
No worries.
All right,
Now, let me
well,
ask you.
well, we're
Let me
out of.
ask you. I want to ask you a trivia question. I got my new Chicago mug. I was in Chicago this week. Why is it called the Windy City?
I believe it is because, first of all, you do have winds coming off of the lake, but that's not the big deal. Those winds are present along the. But when you have these tall buildings, all of that wind is funneled into a narrow area.
Yes.
I have been running laps on a cruise ship, and right up at the front where the bow is, there's this little door, you know, and that little 20-mile-an-hour wind turns into a 60-mile-an-hour wind, and it's hard to get through there. Am I right?
No. That's a good answer though, but it's no. It's wrong.
Well, I understand physics. Okay, do I get credit for that?
No. It got its name, the Windy City, and I forget the year. It was years ago, back when it was a political hotbed, and all the politicians were full of hot air.
Hot air.
So it was called the Windy City because of all the political
Chicanery.
wind coming out. Yes, that's how it got the name the Windy City.
I've been to Chicago once. I went there for 2 weeks to take a class. I'm flying in on Sunday. And we're flying, we're circling the airport, and the plane, does this, and I'm looking down at Soldier Field. And the Bears are having a terrible year, I thought, well, heck, I'm here all day. I'll just go to a Bears game this afternoon and start class Monday. I walked out of that airport in a blast. This was in like December.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nope. I did not go anywhere. And Chicago's an interesting city.
Yeah, I was able to get my deep dish pizza last week.
I was going to say, did you get the pizza?
Oh yeah,
the pizza thing. Yeah.
Gino's East is the best. And I walked out of there one time. I was there in January, and we walked out, and I had a full beard, and I could feel my beard freezing. It was minus like 16 that day, and you could just feel it your face freezing. Like this is terrible.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, but yes, 2 weeks is about 11 days too long into that city. So give me about 3 days, and I'm good.
You're good. All right. Well, Dell, listen, thanks for sharing. I know we had some deep stuff. Folks, if you have not read his blog, I want to encourage you to go to DellDidway.com to catch today's blog. Of course, he blogs there every Tuesday. But today's was very powerful, and I just sensed that it was very personal. And you really poured your heart out. So, and who knows what we're going to see on Thursday. So watch for... Watch the fireworks.
Yes.
All right, brother. Thanks for sharing with us tonight. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait to. I'll just be hanging out until Thursday to make sure that you live up to your promises. There you go. All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Dale. All right, that concludes part 2 of PJNet Live. You saw it right here. And let me just say a quick welcome to Canton Tweet in our chat room. Also, Doug Carter is here. Hazards 4. Tune in on Friday nights, folks. He runs the show Friday night. Jay Steins 3. By the way, Dell Didway, Jay Steins 3 introduced me to Dell Didway. And look what's happened there. Thanks, Judy. Wonderful friend of PJNet. Rachel Colby, who is, she kind of mentors me a little bit sometimes. She's kind of a, she tells me things, and I actually listen from time to time. Sunbelt Girl is here with us, and always is, always has been, and always will. Tammy from Georgia, good to see you again, and really loving the chat room tonight, getting all about the sick dogs and the hot air. Anyway, have some fun. We'll wrap it up here, and Sunbelt Girl will take the helm. We've got highlight videos to produce as PJNet Live continues.